Well, here we are, day 2 of this 4-day magnificent training on spirituality and finances, enlightenment and money. I want to just recap what happened yesterday for those who are new to us, joining us today. They weren't here with us yesterday. Yesterday we spoke about the 3 foundational pillars upon which we need to stand and which we need to understand in order to move towards our magnificence and our abundance. So the 3 pillars, if you recall, relationship to self, relationship to source or the universe, and relationship to others. So those are the 3 main pillars. Within pillar number 1, relationship to self, and pillar number 2, relationship to source, comes this next training, which is what we're going to do now in training number 2, dealing with an aspect of ourself that exists right now, right in this moment, but we never give ourselves time or space to tap into. All right? And I'm thrilled to be here to be able to offer this out into the world. I want to give a little background also to people who are just joining us, but where I'm coming from. I grew up in Canada. I'm here in Australia. Childhood was a little rock and roll, a lot of abuse, a lot of neglect, violence, alcoholism in my personal life. And then things started to change when I was in my 30s. It was from that point when I surrendered, and this is something I'm going to be speaking about actually tomorrow, about surrender and acceptance and all of that. But it was at the point where I surrendered that all things started to really, really shift. And from that point, after being in therapy and joining a 12-step recovery movement, my outward life started to change. Now, and those of you who were on the call yesterday recall me saying to my therapist, like, how come it's not changing? Oh, I've been in therapy like 4 years. How many more years is it going to take? Well, it was late in the mid-2000s, or the early 2000s, that things started to shift for me. And the first big shift was I got a call one day from an organizer in Vancouver, and he said, it was a phone call, and he said, Angela, I've watched you in Vancouver in your Buddhist work, and I'm inviting the Dalai Lama to Vancouver, and I'm wondering if you would like to be the presenter and organize His Holiness's spiritual teaching for Vancouver. So how long do you think that took me to answer? Like, it was a nanosecond. It was a beautiful event. I was very privileged. Actually, it was a 5-day event that I was working on with a committee of people from the University of British Columbia. And we invited Bishop Desmond Tutu, we invited Sharina Body, we invited Shakti Shalomi, Rabbi Shakti Shalomi, a rabbi, and a First Nations elder. So we had a roundtable discussion around issues of educating the heart, as well as a public talk with Bishop Desmond Tutu and His Holiness, and the spiritual teaching that I was coordinating. And that teaching was for a massive audience. It was for like 26,000 people. And, I had 5 lines of security to deal with, and I had 80 volunteers and 20 staff, and I had a protest going on outside, and, all the stuff that comes with a great big event. And after that, again, the divine is good. I would always ask. This whole series and training around abundance, enlightenment, is about learning how to ask and then receive. So I asked, where do you want me to go next? Where would you like me to serve next? And I got a call from a woman in England, and who I had known, and she'd said, Angela, we'd like to invite you to India. We're having a conference and a delegation, and we're meeting with the president of India to have dinner with him, to have a conversation with him. And would you like to be one of our guests? Again, how long would that take you to answer? It was like, of course. So that was in '05. Then the World Urban Forum from the United Nations came to Vancouver. And by that point, I was the CEO of the Interspiritual Center of Vancouver. So I was working with all different faith groups in a nonprofit organization, which I helped found. And the World Urban Forum, the United Nations, was coming to Vancouver to do I don't know, maybe it was a 3 or 4 day conference. I don't remember. And I remember looking at the agenda, and it was great stuff. It was about Habitat for Humanity, about sewage, about housing, about clean water and food, how to sustain human beings. And I looked at the agenda and I said, well, this is all great. I mean, like, absolutely, we need to sustain people this way. However, how do they sustain the spirit? That's not on the agenda. We need to learn to sustain spirit in order for the human to live and eat and breathe and sleep and blah, blah, blah. So I went to the head of the conference, and I wrote to the UN in New York, and I posed my question. And they wrote back and they said, you're right. You're absolutely right. And they said, if you can write us something up, we'll give you some money. So my life has been a continuous, how would you say, unfolding and revealing of the divine in terms of manifestation, opportunity, money, and people, and my connection to source. So these two things for me have always gone hand in hand, even as a child. And you remember my brother once saying, "And how do you nail those Christmas gifts? You just always seem to know exactly what to get us, right, for Christmas." And I thought, that's an interesting thing that he should say. And I said, well, I just get information and then I purchase or make the gift that I know that you're wanting. And he's like, okay. And what I was doing was talking to the divine, asking source, what would my brother like? And asking the source, what would my grandmother like? And I would get answers. Everybody's got that capacity. But after about the age of 7, we cut it off. And certainly when we're in our teens, we start cutting it off. Now, like, good news, bad news, because of the neglect in my life, I didn't have anybody around in my house physically. So I was continuously talking to the divine. And I didn't even know it. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I was doing it. And I was getting answers, and I was getting guidance. And, it was always good guidance, and my humanness would always, move me another way. And I want to say something on that point, just a little bit of a sidebar, and that is, those of us who've come through neglect, have come through, even torture and deep, deep pain. We've often felt forgotten. We've often felt abandoned by the divine, and I certainly did. And later in life, I've come to learn and know that we were never abandoned. We were always seen, and we were always heard, and our prayers were always heard. We may not have had them answered in that moment. So again, this is the mystery. This is the mystery of the source, the mystery of the divine. We have this limited perspective. We've got this 3-second perspective on a 200-year picture. And the divine has the whole picture. We don't. So just circling back, the World Urban Forum put together a roundtable discussion, an international roundtable discussion around spirituality and sustainability. And of course, we were learning and talking about sustaining spirit, also how to green sacred spaces. So we were kind of innovative in the terms of sustainability. And I brought people from Africa and Thailand and India, Australia, America, all over. And it was gorgeous, gorgeous. How did I end up in Australia? I married an Australian man. And those of you who were on the call yesterday, I said, on the session, that I had gone to England as a child at 16, and I met a man. Well, that's the man I married almost 30 years later in 2009. So I'm here in Australia. I've been here for 10 years. And what I need to say also to everybody is that what we are tuning into internally. It's our spirit and our humanness in co-creation. We then emanate it out into the world. And that spirit, that energy, that frequency of energy that we're emanating out into the world will attract like-minded people, like-minded events, like-minded opportunities, anything of that frequency. So when I first arrived in Australia, I didn't know anybody. I knew my husband, that was it. However, I knew that me and my God source, me and my divine, were co-creating. And lo and behold, I started to meet wonderful people. Met Natalie Cook, a 5-time Olympian. I met her partner, Sarah Maxwell. And they invited me to meet Deborah Hutton, who here in Australia was putting together a balance project for women. And on that project was Olivia Newton-John, Ida Buttrose. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women here in Australia. I was so worried when I was leaving Canada. Like I knew people internationally and nationally, and I could go to any city and yada, yada, yada. And I thought, Australia, I don't know anybody. And I had to trust and have faith that like attracts like. And lo and behold, my life started to be revealed and rolled right in front of my eyes. So that's a message of hope and faith for those of you who have moved to new cities, because I know there's somebody on this on today that has moved new cities, and it's tough. The first 2-3 years, it's tough meeting new friends, and we have to have that trust and faith that the divine is walking with us. So back to what we're doing here today. Today is about a discovery, working with, as I said earlier, a part of ourselves that exists right now, but we never tap into. And I'm excited to offer this visualization, this guided visualization to you. Many people have many variations on it. This one I have created. This one I created having spent lots of time with Tarla, lots of time in meditation, and moving into that psyche, that dimension of reality that I tapped into in order for my belief systems to start to change. Now, who on this session wants possibly to change a belief? I just need to see a thumbs up. Yep, there's beliefs in me that I know I need to shift. So, yep, okay, Maureen, I'm hearing from you. Laura, yep, Hannah, oh, great. Then you're in the right place. The thing is about changing a belief system is that it's more like we have to be, I want like cancer, the word cancer comes up, the word, the crab. We have to move sideways into changing a belief. And what I mean by that is that you don't always hit it straight on. It's not a logical proposition on how to shift a belief. We have to touch into the wounded place in us first, that the belief first became apparent. And when we do this inner child work, that's when we touch into the time when that belief may have shown up. And then we work with that age within ourselves. We work with that age internally and do exercises. So today, I hope you did the download, because all the various points on this sheet, this download sheet, are actually remedies and antidotes and ways to help these parts of ourselves to heal and to help us change our beliefs in present time. Okay? Like I say, it's a little sideways. It's not straight on. This energy, there are multiple dimensions of reality. We have access to between 16 and 21 of them. Most people only have access to 4 or 5 consciously. Okay? And all the rest of the dimensions of reality we have access to, but we're not finely enough attuned to access. So 96% of us, we don't have a clue about. Science doesn't have a clue about the DNA strands except for 4%, right? They know about 4% of the brain. The other 96, on DNA strands, I heard it said that the scientists call it, they used to call it junk. The stuff they didn't understand in the DNA strands, they'd call it junk. Like, go figure, hey? And as spirit is evolving, as consciousness is evolving, as we're getting more information coming down, lo and behold, we're coming to understand, and science is coming to understand, that there's stuff, knowledge, wisdom, that has always been here, but we couldn't access it because we just didn't have the information yet. And now it's coming. So, the 6 stages of early childhood development. And, you know, some people kind of go, oh God, really? Really? We got to go back to childhood? Nah, I'm out of here. I'm moving forward. Well, I'm here to say that if you truly want to move forward in a magnificent and big way, you have to look backwards momentarily. I'm not saying you got to indulge. I'm not saying you got to sit there and waddle in it. I'm not talking about self-pity. I'm talking about acknowledgement and acceptance of parts of ourselves. And when we acknowledge and accept stuff, information, woundedness, that's then when we can make new action in a new direction. I hope everybody's got a piece of pen and paper, because there's a lot in this call that will help you, move you forward. And so you maybe want to be writing some of this down. One thing I want to say is 3 stages: awareness, acknowledgement, and then action. All right? So a lot of people have the awareness and they move right to action. And they skip the acknowledgement stage. And that acknowledgement stage of what we're experiencing, what we're feeling, what is arising, has to be experienced in order for new direction to happen. Otherwise, we're repeating the same errors with the same consciousness that created the problem in the first place. All right? Einstein said it. You can't change consciousness with the same consciousness that created the problem. There has to be a shift in consciousness. That's what the 2nd stage of acknowledgement is about. Now, the other buzzword I'm going to throw at you is that you've got awareness, acknowledgement, action. And when people go awareness, action, they do what we call a spiritual override. So they're going from awareness to action because they don't want to feel the ucky. They don't want to feel the sadness. They don't want to feel the shame. I mean, who does? Frankly, right? The grit of guilt and shame, I don't wish it on anybody. However, if that's the price that we have to pay for joy, freedom, and prosperity, then I don't think it's too high a price. While I'm in it, I don't like it. I'm still human. I don't like it. However, I've done enough rounds. I've gone around the bush a long enough time, many enough times, to know that the outcome is always going to be magnificent. So that I better just stay and feel the feelings and then move forward into the new action. So, 6 stages. What are they? What I'm going to do is I'm going to pose the first one. I'm going to talk about the first one. And then I'm going to lead us through this meditation. And then I'm going to talk about the other 5. And I'm not going to go hugely in depth. On day 4, I'm going to go more in depth into the nuances of each of the childhood stages of development. But you're going to get a lot of information today, and that's why I'm saying get a pen and paper ready. Okay, so the first stage is 0 to 18 months of age. And none of us have recollection. I mean, some people will have minor recollection of what they were about 0 to 18 months. Often we have to ask our parents and our mother what we were like, what was our birth like. 0 to 18 months is the most crucial stage. That and one other in the childhood development. Again, it's laying the foundation. It's laying the groundwork for all that is to come for the child in the future. Now, if our mother wasn't present to us emotionally, and they can't necessarily be 100% present. I understand that. And some, they're going to be more or less. So everybody's on the spectrum. This stage of early childhood development is all about attachment and bonding with the mother, not with the father, not with a nanny, not with a sibling. It is with the mother. And some of the things that are going to come in the way of that bonding, your mom might be pregnant within the first 18 months. She may even give birth again, right? You may have a sibling that's only 10 months older than you. There may have been a war on, right? Northern Ireland, Vietnam. So she's in turmoil internally. Her and her partner may have been arguing and massive amounts of like friction and conflict within the marriage. There could have been postpartum depression after she gave birth. So there's various ways in which a mother, a woman, has to take care of herself, and she withdraws internally. But what happens when the mother withdraws is that the child then feels the chasm. Now, this chasm that as adults we can cope with, but as a little baby, our survival depends on this one person for everything. And we are animals, instinctual animals, and we have the amygdala, as I spoke about yesterday, the fight, flight, freeze mechanism. And as a baby, crying is sort of like the fight part. Hear me, hear me, hear me, right? So a baby will strategize as to get the mother's attention. Because without being touched, without being seen, without being heard, the child begins to compensate for their needs getting met. And when the child starts to compensate, that's the beginning of what we call the compensatory ego defense mechanism. It begins to get born very early on in order to survive, so she or he can take care of themselves, so they don't die. So 0 to 18 months, the mother has to witness the child. She has to sit and just bear witness. She has to see and hear the child. Now, I didn't ask my mother, but my mother went back to work at 6 months. When I was 6 months old, I was bottle fed, from what I understand. My grandmother came in to caretake me and my brother. My brother was 14 months older than me. So I had a lot of hits against me. We were in the Vietnam War. We were in the States. So my mom was very, very distracted and not present. The thing about 0 to 18 months, about this attachment, is that this is when our addictions get born. This is the time when this, and I point to my solar plexus right here, that the God hole, I call it the God hole, in our solar plexus, this bereavement starts to get activated. Our little nervous system gets activated by, oh my God, I'm being abandoned. Oh my God, where is she? Oh my God, right? And when that gets activated, as I said, the child feels like she's being abandoned, but that she is going to die. That she's going to die. Because a child doesn't have any other sense of how she will survive. So this attachment leads to, and the lack of attachment leads to later in life, this God hole that isn't filled. And starting in about adolescence, we start filling it. We start filling it with alcohol, we fill it with drugs, smoking, sex. And of course, we're in an exploratory stage within our adolescence, but it's been born 0 to 18 months. And that's why addictions are so hard to heal. We can't heal them intellectually. We have to go down into our unconscious, meet this part of ourselves, and love it back to health. We have to become the parent that we never had, that was not present to us. Now, a lot of people may say, I had a great childhood, from all intents and purposes, and it's all in degrees, okay? Some had grievous bodily harm, abuse, neglect. Others had other siblings that took away from the parents' attention. You know, they may have had a big farm. They might have had a big business to deal with so that the mother couldn't be present. So each little wound is going to create like a chink in the armor for the child looking outward. Alrighty. The other thing that happens 0 to 18 months, the addiction that gets born here is that's a lot of women have, and I bring this up mainly for women, is a relationship to food. And I don't know a woman who doesn't have some kind of relationship to food and body image, right? Of some degree or other. There's always at the back of my mind, I mean, or people's minds, mine too, you know, about carbs, about calories, about exercise. Like it's just, it's in there. And it's because the mother is the very first person to feed us. And if we have any kind of fracture with the mother, we use food and the feeding time to connect with her. So we either ask for more food so we have more time with her, or we become picky eaters as early young children, just to get her attention. Just to get her attention. So I just want to get a thumbs up if everybody's still here and they're understanding what I'm saying about the importance of attachment, importance of this early childhood. Okay, somebody is saying, yeah, they were still born a twin. Yes. Okay, so like all of this really, really affects us, the psyche. And yeah, it's fascinating. When I was doing my early childhood work, it was like, really? That's why this? And I was like, yes, that's why this. Nobody ever told me, obviously, you know, I just was sick. I was alcoholic. I was out to self-destruct. And I'm seeing here from some of the comments that others have had, you know, some of the same situation, not same, but, you know, mother being not present or like being stillborn or incubated or a child not having that connection in the first 18 months. Oh, crucial. All right. So now I want to lead us through this meditation. And what I would like you to do is put your hands, like pen and paper down. I'd like you to get comfortable in a chair, sitting cross-legged, basically being relaxed and comfortable. And I want you to, just to begin, let us focus all of our attention on the tip of our nose. So I want you to bring all of your awareness to the breath. And I want you to come into your body, noticing your posture, seeing if your head is on top of your shoulders, and your shoulders are directly over your hips. And the most important part is that your spine is straight, so that the spinal fluid can run easily up and down the spine and out through to the nerves, so that your nervous system relaxes. So just coming inwardly, giving yourself permission. You're here in this session. You've made it this far. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So just give yourself permission to go inwardly. I know the temptation will be to multitask now, maybe cut off and look at your messages or texts or Facebook, but come back, believe me, this will mint gold, this one visualization. So you're breathing in light and exhaling out. Your breath, I want you to notice, is your breath coming in a warm stream or a cool stream? Exhaling out. Again, is it coming deeply from your gut, or are you breathing shallow from your chest? Just bringing awareness in. And when the mind begins to wander, I want you to just notice it's wandering into thinking. And you put a little yellow sticky note out. Thinking. And then I want you to bring the mind back to the object of the meditation, which is the breath. So breathing in and exhaling out. Just being comfortable in your body, in the room that you're sitting in, on the couch or the chair, and relaxing. With every breath you take, I want you to relax. And now, I want you to imagine a beautiful, long, white, sandy beach. And this beach can be anywhere. It can be in Hawaii. It can be in Cuba. It can be in Thailand. It can be here in Australia, Gold Coast, or Western Australia. Go there now to this beach. And when you get there, you are barefoot. And your feet sink into the sand with each step that you take. And it's a beautiful day, beautiful beach day with the wind blowing and the sun shining on your skin. And you are just feeling so incredibly relaxed with each step you take. And up ahead, you notice that there's a crack in the earth, and you're curious. So you go to investigate. And as you approach this crack in the earth opens up right in front of your eyes. And what appears is a beautiful staircase made of light. Golden light, white light. And it's descending down into the earth. And I want you now to step off of the beach and begin to step onto the staircase. If you have any fear of stepping onto the staircase, I want you to bring an angel with you. I want you to bring a friend. You can bring me to walk down the stairs with you. And as you descend the stairs, with each step you take, you become more and more relaxed. And now, I want you to walk. There's a gate at the very bottom of the staircase, and I want you to walk through this gate. So you're walking down the stairs, there's a gate at the bottom. I want you now to walk through the gate. And as you walk through this gate, way in the distance, you see these little black specks coming towards you. And you recognize the black specks that perhaps they're people. And slowly, slowly, these black specks start to come towards you. And slowly, slowly, you make out the outline that yes, these little black specks are actually people. They're human beings. And right at the front of this group, there's one. And it's a small little person. And slowly, slowly, this group of people come towards you, and more gets revealed, and you see that the person at the front of this group is a little child. And that little child you come to see is you as a little girl. You as a little girl. She is coming towards you, the adult. And I want you, the adult, to kneel down and open up your arms and greet this little child. Say hello. I want you to notice, is she cautious? Is she afraid? Is she happy to see you? I want you to notice the energy between you and the child. And I want you to speak to her now in your heart. And speak words of, oh, my sweetness, you are so deserving of my love. Oh, little one, you're so worthy of my love right now. There is nothing you need to do for me to love you. Nothing. And she may not trust you. She absolutely may not trust you. That's okay. You let her know it's okay that she's cautious. It's okay she's not trusting. That is what unconditional love is. And I want you to witness her in her fullness. And I want you to ask her now to take you to her safe place, someplace on the planet that she feels safest. Now, this can be anywhere. This can be up a tree, it can be by a lake, it can be in a garden, it can be back on the beach, it can be up in a mountain, it can be an old bedroom. Go there now with her. She gets to choose where she wants to go. And I want you to follow. And when you arrive at this place, I want you to put down a blanket and you sit on the blanket and allow the child to simply be. Just be. And your job as the adult is to witness her. Give her your attention, undivided. Now, for some, there may not be a child coming present. I want you to imagine a photograph. And the child steps out of the photograph. And you can greet her there. So, whatever way you can interact with the child, please begin. And she may already be chirping at you and telling you things, or she may be a bit cautious, and that's okay. You can ask her, would you like to come sit on your lap? Would you like to come sit on your blanket? So invite her in. And in your heart, you're continually talking to her, sweetie pie. You're so deserving of my love. You are so, so worthy of my love right now. There's nothing you need to say or do. It's okay that you're cautious. It's okay that you may be angry. It's okay that you may be sad and shy. I love you just the way you are. And inviting her onto your lap, perhaps, if maybe she's not been able to be there, maybe she has. I want you now to run your fingers through her hair and run the back of your hand down her little baby cheek, down her little baby arms, if she'll let you. So don't force, just allow. And hold her close. And I want you to speak to her also like how crazy intelligent she is, how fiercely independent she is, how beautiful and sensitive she is. What an incredibly perceptive child she is. Talk to her. This is about establishing a relationship with this part of yourself. And again, if you struggle, bring a photo up and speak to the photo and have the child walk out of the photo so that you may speak to the photo and the child in the photo. So just giving her one more minute of time with you. that's what she's lacking, is this time with you. Holding her, feeling her, smelling her. Nuzzle your nose into her, the nape of her neck, and just smell her little baby smell. And tell her that she's deserving and worthy of your love right now. And I want you to ask her one question. One question. I want you to ask her, is there anything that she would like from you today? Is there anything that she needs from you today? And she may not have an answer. That's okay. But she might. She might ask for hugs, or play, or love. Depending on her needs and how close she feels to you, she may or may not say anything. And you let her know that in the next 24 hours, you will do your best to connect with her and give her what she is asking for. And now, I want the two of you to stand up and gather the blanket. And I want you to walk back to the gate. And when you arrive back at the gate, what appears is this beautiful, big garden. Like a golf course, big garden. And there's a lake in the garden, and there's beautiful trees and bushes, and there's a mountain, and all manner of animals and insects. There's hummingbirds and beautiful butterflies flying all around, and hummingbirds. And you and the child arrive in this garden, and you also see beautiful, majestic wisdom beings of light and love. Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Ariel. Perhaps Jesus and Mary are in this circle. All the different Buddhas, Tara, Vajrayogini, Heruka, Vajrasattva, all within this circle. The prophets, Muhammad and Rumi, Ganesha, Lakshmi. Perhaps friends, family members who have passed away, they're now there in this circle of wisdom and light and love. And they're beings of light in this circle, and it's almost like they're having a party in this garden. And you and the child, I want you to step into the middle of this circle of their party, and I want you to feel their love. I want you to absorb and drink in their love and their light. And I want you to kneel down and look at the little one in the eyes and say, you are so deserving of my love. Sweetie pie, you are so worthy right now of my love. And now I want you, and you'd be talking to her, I want you now to choose one of these beings of light to go stand beside. So she gets to choose, maybe the Dalai Lama, maybe Jesus. So she goes to stand by one of these wisdom beings. And you now walk out of the circle, walk through the gate, and begin walking up the stairs. And you can turn and wave to her. You can blow her little baby kisses, little butterfly kisses. And you walk up the stairs knowing she is safe and protected. And as your foot lands on the top step, your next foot lands on the beach. And then your second foot lands back up on the beach, and the earth closes up behind you, and you are back in that pristine day. Beautiful, beautiful blue skies. The wind is blowing. And with each step you take in the sand, you come deeper and deeper into your beingness. knowing that you've been given sacred information about a part of yourself that perhaps you previously haven't touched into. And as you walk, you feel the breeze caressing your skin. There is this deep feeling of interconnectedness with all that is. Your beingness is at peace. Yes, a deep, deep peace. So I want you just to begin to slowly, slowly come back to the room, come back to my voice, come back to the video, the picture on your screen. Just slowly, slowly. You may want to stretch a little bit, put your arms above your head. I would definitely suggest a drink of water. And I want you to be gentle, incredibly gentle with yourself. So perhaps you could write in the chat there the age at which the little one showed up. Just to get an idea from all the different people, what different ages. And I can tell you what I'm going to do is speak about the different ages now. Mostly, yes, 4, 7, yeah, 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 6 months, yeah, 18 months, beautiful, wow, okay, 6. Yeah, well, they all have significance. And sometimes multiple children will show up. And I'll speak to that in a minute, because one of you has that happening. Safety and security are paramount for a child. And what I said about the 0 to 18 months, that's when safety and security, all our issues around safety and security, whether it be with a spouse, whether it be with other, like in public or networking or whatever, am I safe? Do I feel secure? Or the insecure part of us gets born early on. So if the child is showing up, and I see somebody has that, we're dealing with an early childhood. And you want to go down there and pick the child up and hold her and love her with all the different ages. Now, often a child will show up at the age of 4 when we do this the very first time. Because the age of 4 is when identity starts to grow. So 0 to 18 months is attachment, about attachment around safety, security. Then from 18 months to 3 years, we move into exploration. So yes, I see somebody there also. So a child at that age is learning how she feels safe with her mom. Now she begins to explore. She goes out and wants to know about the world. She needs to know that she can go out and come back, and when she comes back, everything will be exactly as she left it. Now, safety and security issues are exactly the same at the age of 2, 22, or 62, okay? And if we haven't dealt with them from early childhood, they're going to still keep coming up throughout our whole life. So if we've been injured or wounded in that stage, we're not going to have much ability to explore the planet or explore or be curious about new things, because our initial exploration phase, we got wounded. Make sense? The second phase after that, so that's phase 2. Phase 3 is about identity, as I said. And she, at that stage, is 3 to 4 years of age. Now, identity, this happens when the child starts to, she's gone through the curiosity stage, and now she's old enough to be out in the world. She's doing kindergarten. She's able to be with other kids, maybe preschool. Different countries have different ages where things happen. But she's now outside in the world without her parents necessarily. She's standing up by herself. And her identity is forming. Right? Now, if there is any, if the parent has not witnessed the child sufficiently at this time, then the child goes out and she doesn't know how to behave. She doesn't know if she exists. Right? And she's always sort of like, well, am I like her? Am I like him? But again, it's unconscious. Where I just took you, that dimension of reality, is available to you 24/7. That's where your dreams come from. That is where the healing happens. And with consciousness, we take ourselves down there in order to heal. We witness those places. And dependent on the ages of what the child is, there are different antidotes. So age 3 to 4 is about identity. Coming to learn, I'm a ballerina. I want to be a ballerina. I want to be a fireman or a firewoman. I want to be whatever. Next, after that, is about competency and power. That's ages 4 to 7. So the child is out in the world, she's now school age perhaps, and she is learning how to negotiate in the world. She's learning how to negotiate with other children, how to get her needs met. She's having to learn how to put up boundaries on, is this gonna work in this world? Like, can I get my needs met this way? She's able to start developing self-esteem due to her ability to get her needs met or not in the outside world. For a child at this age, we need to have been given praise regardless of whether we did our tasks well or not, right? So like those wooden pegs that you put in those little wooden holes, right? And the wooden hammer. It's like the child puts the wooden peg in and hits the hammer and the peg goes flying. And obviously they don't get it in the hole. Well, the child has to be told, yes, you did it great. You did the whack great. Okay, she didn't whack the peg right in the hole. But whatever the child does has to be seen to be good and correct. Now, the extreme of not being seen is being smothered. Smothered. Early childhood, same thing, 0 to 18 months. If the parent never left you alone, wouldn't let you, out of their sight, and the second stage of development in the curiosity, never let you go running off by yourself, insecurity develops. All right. Identity starts to get shaped and worked. And then personal power in this next stage is 4 to 7. Starts to get thwarted. So if you have issues now in adulthood that you're not feeling that gut, we call it the hara, right in the navel chakra of I belong, I am powerful on the planet, then you possibly were wounded between the ages of 4 to 7. All right. And how you can tell this sometimes is jealousy arises. This is the shadow side to competency. Okay, and personal power. You feel jealous, you compare, and you feel competitive with others. Does anybody experience that? Give me a thumbs up. Because I imagine somewhere along the way we weren't seen. Okay, so we feel the jealousy, competitiveness, or we compare. And that's because in this stage between 4 and 7, we weren't seen to be powerful and competent. Next stage, and I see some responses. Thank you. I see Maureen, Janet, thank you. Beautiful. Next stage is about concern and connection with peers, ages 7 to 13. So we're definitely school age. We're now definitely in social groups, maybe the brownies or maybe doing dance or whatever it is out in the world. And we're wanting to have a sense of belonging. We want to know that, that others care about us and we care about others. So this is about peer development and peer belonging. And this is the foundation to create relationships with equals. All right. So we're creating a larger social world. And again, if in adulthood you're feeling left out or alone and you have friendship challenges, you possibly were wounded in this phase of childhood, right? Learning about care and concern and belonging. Like, where are my people? And you can have either low self-esteem or grandiosity. So you can vacillate between these two extremes because you never had any parent purely see you for who you are, that of course you belong in this family, of course you belong in the world, of course you're pristine and beautiful and strong and competent. Now, I never got that messaging. I was wounded in all 6 phases of childhood, and I have had to dig deep and go down those stairs thousands of times to meet the child at different ages. And the object of this exercise is not for them to grow up, but for them in each of their ages to heal. Okay? Because there is a healthy 18-month-old. There's a healthy 4-year-old. There is a healthy 8-year-old. We just may not have that part in us yet. Okay. So after the 7 to 13, then we enter into adolescence. All right. And 13 to 19 is the last phase, stage 6. And this is all about intimacy. It's about sexuality, about sensuality, and learning about love. Now, other than sex education, I didn't learn about intimacy. I didn't learn about love. I certainly never knew what sensuality was. And to me, they were all mixed up together. So that sex was intimacy. And that is not the truth. So we have to be teaching our children, and we needed to be taught this information. Perhaps we weren't. Okay? The good news is, this is the good news, guys, is that we can go back now and heal those places so that we can have a life beyond our wildest dreams. Because people say to me, well, how does this inner child stuff relate to money? Okay, Ange, let's get real. Like show me the money. And what I say, and what I know to be true, is that as I learned to parent myself, reparent myself, as I learned to be with all these different ages inside of me that were wounded, my self-esteem started to mend. My self-worth started to grow. My self-image, I started to create a self-image that I wasn't invisible. I really thought I was invisible for most of my life. So inside, internally, all of this began. And as I said earlier, like attracts like. As my self-esteem grew, I would attract in situations, people, money that matched the level of self-esteem that I was holding, or self-worth, or exploration. You know, when I was ready to explore, I remember it was in 2000, I was working through my exploration phase. The other thing about exploration is you can go out in the world too much because there's no boundaries. And so I was learning about a healthy boundary regarding exploration. And when that started to get healed, lo and behold, I manifested 3 friends who wanted to go to India together. I'd always done all my traveling alone. I had lived alone. I worked alone. I worked in my house alone. you know, other than I had a partner in my 20s, but basically I was a loner. I loved to travel alone because I was a control freak. And anything that I couldn't control, which was everything, because the world is out there, right? I would shut it out. I would just do it by myself. So as I healed my inner curiosity and allowed it to be existent, and as I started to heal the abandonment issues and accepting parts of myself, lo and behold, I was manifesting friends and work and money, prosperity, opportunities. Now, if I couldn't feel like I belonged, right, in that early stage of 7 to 13, if I was still wounded there was no way that I would get a call from the Dalai Lama's office to help create a whole group coming together. Because if I didn't know how to play well, then I wouldn't be able to, like attracts like. So as I healed that internally, I was getting opportunities come. Does that make sense? Thumbs up if that makes sense. The correlation between the money and the wounding. Because this is often where people kind of, they miss the mark. It's like, well, okay, yeah, we got to do this inner child work. I don't know why, but it's correlating to the inner healing. And as we heal inwardly, then we attract. It's not about working harder. Oh my God, I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to go network and I got to do more emails. It's about actually staying still and inwardly loving ourselves and then attracting in all manner of beauty, right? And I know you know this experience. Now it's about ramping it up. Now it's about turning the volume up, which means you got to go deeper and inwardly. So I'm just going to give you a few little tips, suggestions. Get some photos of yourself from when you were a child and put them up in different places in your house. See, there's that little cutie patootie right there. She's so cute. She always comes in my meditation. She likes seeing me. Get a photo of yourself, put it by your bedside table, put it at your desk. Look at her, talk to her. Find out, what does she need today? Because every day it's something different. And this meditation, if you can do it daily, hallelujah, you will expedite your progress. I say that this one technique mints gold. Of all the techniques I have purification techniques, I have compassion meditations, I have all manner in the Buddhist bag that I have and all the self-help stuff. This one guided visualization, if you can do that, all this healing will come together, and lo and behold, things will start to manifest. We must invest time into ourselves. We must also invest money into ourselves. 10% of whatever it is you earn, it's necessary to invest in yourself. You must put some in savings. You must put some into self-development. And obviously, pay your bills and take care of your body. People forget that part, right? That we must continue to invest. I met a man he makes millions. He spends $100,000 a year in personal development, still with coaches. So I want you to come to a place of allowing and learning that you were wounded. We all were. It's not a blame game now towards parents. It is about taking responsibility for our own happiness, our own peace. Yes, things happened. As they say, shit happens. It's what you do with the shit later, right? Do you want to make beautiful flowers, create some compost and create beautiful flowers from it? Or do you want to keep smelling it? Which do you want? Personally, my garden, I want it to grow, be beautiful, magnificent. So that ends today's whole basket around the inner child. I want to point out the download sheet, and you can find out remedies. Like I saw somebody, in that 18-month to 2-year period. And that's number one. It says, for an hour or a day, say no. Because you weren't allowed a boundary, and you weren't allowed to say yes or no. So that's an antidote. Tell all your friends, hey, I'm just going to go around saying no, just no. And I want you to go through this, see where you may fit in, and apply some of these antidotes. I want to see right now, put a number 3 if you're interested and you're excited about tomorrow, day 3. Tomorrow, I'm going to speak about the 7 steps that we need to take once these 3 pillars, there's a foundation going on. Gorgeous. Thank you, guys. Deb, you're amazing. Thank you, Deb. That 7 steps starts to move us towards absolute freedom, where abundance, connection to God, divine spirit, source energy is consistent. It's continuous. So we need to learn what those 7 steps are. And as I said yesterday, and I will continue to say, that all of this is based on my personal experience. I have walked these steps. I have lived them. I continue to live and breathe them. So I look forward to seeing all of you. Pass along the links, pass along the downloads, and I'm thrilled you guys are all here. It touches my heart. As I said yesterday, you know, like there I was as a kid, 14 years, like, what is the point? So days like today, I come to understand 100% why I had to go through what I did, right? And I know that each of you are going through something individually, and you want to get to a better place, and you are, because you're on this call right now. You are, you will. So there's forever hope. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. I love you all. See you tomorrow.